in-house FC chassis harness, you can see there's some extra wires hanging around, and that is to get the correct lengths and measurements to build the customers, because we didn't wire it in at the time because we weren't using it. So we can plug right into their ignition switch, which is always cool. You can retain your key. So here we have the rear disconnect, which has the fuel pump in it as well. And we have your front disconnect. This general area is the driver's side behind the dash. You can see we have our digital dash disconnect, which has an abundance of different flying leads. So we have your fuel level, we have left blinker, right blinker, battery constant, key on. You have your headlight illumination and high beam illumination. Some digital dashes now have a little light on there, so you can use that as well. We have a ground. We have running lights on. We have a ground. We have running lights on. So these are just some functions that we put on a disconnect for the digital dash for you guys. So here, this is pretty cool. These two connectors, this one is for the FC headlight switch. Now, this also controls the button for the fog lights, which is a rotating button, and it also has a function for the rear fog defroster. Now, we don't use the rear fog defroster, but we are able to repurpose that as a flying lead in the inputs and outputs over here on the other side of the harness behind the glove box area. So it's pretty cool that we can retain that. This is for the blinkers on a non-vert. The vert has a different connector. The stalk is different. This one is built into the bezel for a non-vert, and a vert has an actual stalk off the steering column. So we can plug into that. We can also plug into your hazard button connector. Now, these vehicles are notorious for having problems with these OEM switches, so please make sure that your switches are operational before asking for that service. So we have our little disconnect here. We plug right into your brake pedal. We have our LED blinker relay. We have our switch panel, which disconnects. Got some switches here for ignition on, starter, which is momentary, and then a bunch of ADA relays, which are all found over here, plus the wiper. So it's pretty cool that we can do all that. The disconnect for our second ignition on circuit, and that is for, let's say, a radio, and then we have battery constant to retain your radio's memory. It saves all your functions, all your stations and stuff like that. Here on the other side behind the glove box area is our fuse block. We have our additional ADA relays. We also have your starter signal, which goes to your starter. This energizes your starter to tell it to turn on. This does not provide power to your starter. You will need a heavy gauge, most likely 0 gauge wire that comes from your battery and goes to your starter, as well as your alternator. Your engine wiring provider will go over all that with you, or at least they should. We have 2 grounds, one for the fuel pump and one for the harness itself. And we have your inputs and outputs. Your inputs and outputs are awesome. We provide this service on our harnesses that have a custom fuse block. This is also known as a PDU. If you have an aftermarket CAN PDU, we are not able to provide the inputs and outputs for you. It'll be solely whatever options your aftermarket PDM or PDU has to offer. We cannot provide this service if you do a PDU. So here we have a bunch of different stuff here. We have reverse lights. We have 2 battery constants, 2 ignitions on. This harness is a switched ground for the fuel pump. We have a couple extra wires that are from the OEM buttons off of the headlight switch. We have running lights on, and we have an extra just trigger switch, or an auxiliary switch as it's known as. So this is just one harness. This one has the extra functions for the OEM options seen here. Now if we come over to this harness, which it's nice to be able to display them. So here we actually retain the tumbler or your ignition switch. And then again, we have the digital dash, the front disconnect. We have the rear disconnect over here, brake pedal, our little thing, and an extra ignition on. And then we have this switch panel, which has a lot more. This is for a customer, so this is more specific. So this one is running lights on, headlights high beam. So one throw will be the headlights, and then the opposite throw will be the high beams. Same thing for the blinker. So it has multiple throws, up and down, and off is in the center. So wiper, add a relay, and two auxiliary switches. One auxiliary switch is a switch power, and one is a switch ground. The first auxiliary switch is for a power steering pump that's located in the rear of this vehicle. And the other one is a switch for, wait for it, fans. We are happy to wire in a switch ground signal for fans. We do not wire in the relay for fans. Anytime you have a fan, you must follow the specific installation instructions from the manufacturer of the fan. We don't wire fans. We're happy to wire a switch in for you, but we do not wire in fan relays. Please don't use any of our ADA relays for your fan. You will void your warranty. And then we have your wiper motor, plugs right in. This is the passenger side area behind the glove box. So you plug right into your wiper, 1 speed, activated off the switch panel. And then again, we have the inputs and outputs. This customer has a relay for their fuel pump built into their engine harness. So what we did is we routed the fuel pump through the harness, and we left them a flying lead right here with a label, which is on the legend that we provide. We email you a copy of the legend in case you lose it, and we also print out one and provide it in the package with your harness. So they will connect this to their engine harness relay for the fuel pump, and this will be activated off of their engine harness. So pretty cool. It's nice to be able to see the differences in the chassis harnesses and the different options. This RX7 order has everything that we can offer built into 2 switch panels versus the OEM switches. This car is going for more of a race car look. They wanted more switches, and then we also have our RX7 FC pop-up headlight harness off the disconnect. These are always going to come with the disconnect from here on out. And then we have our 2-door window harness along with the rear and the front. So seen here on this main portion of the RX7 chassis harness, you can see you have the disconnects for the rear, the disconnect for the front, and your OEM brake pedal switch, but we have the digital dash and then an abundance of flying leads. You can see these 3 disconnects here, which merge out of the main harness, are for the switch panel. This switch panel required 2 disconnects. So it's pretty sweet. We have our inputs and outputs. We have our OEM wiper plug. We have 2 grounds present here. We have the main power into our fuse block, and then we have a disconnect here for your starter and then 2 adder relays. Here's an overview of what the legend that we provide looks like. It has your front, your main portion. A lot of this is going to say not used because everything is going to be on the switch panel itself versus using the OEM connectors. And then for your digital dash, which we have dash here, and then you can see dash there. And then this gives you a breakdown of every single port, which also is numbered per the actual ports on the connector. So it's easy to identify what's what. And then again, we have that on the inputs and outputs, which we offer now. So we have a bunch of additional inputs and outputs, which are right here. And again, you can see it's all numbered for you. So it's easy to identify. This front of the FC chassis harness has additional flying leads for the running lights on and an additional ground on both sides for the JDM flash to pass. If you guys have anything like that, or if you have specific fog lights, anything you need, let us know and we can work with you on providing you what we can to assist you in making those circuits operational.